Hey, Jeff here from Easy Language Mastery, and I have a quick video here to highlight a little research project that I've been doing over the last couple of years, which is going to be rather shocking for me to reveal. Just because I've been building algorithmic trading systems for a long time, the vast bulk of that has been done by hand. That means hand coding through Easy Language and building out systems. As you know, I've been also experimenting with the Build Alpha product. Build Alpha, of course, is the product that allows you to build and validate systems without learning to code. I created a course called Alpha Compass around that several years back, showing people how I use Build Alpha to build systems. Now, I've been doing that for several years and slowly been adding new strategies to my portfolio. But still, the bulk of my strategies have been built the old-fashioned way. And there's always been that fear in the back of my mind that, eventually I think these tools are going to supersede anything that we're doing. And let me show you what I have to show you today, which is going to point us in that direction once again. In the course Alpha Compass, where I show you how to build trading systems using Build Alpha, I started something called the Strategy Vault. And that's quite simply people, when they're done with the class, they can submit a strategy. And if it's a passing strategy, which I hope it is, it gets submitted to the vault. And people started submitting stuff in the fall of 2022. So now we have several years of people submitting stuff, and we have a good sample size of strategies with out-of-sample data. Today, for reference, is March 11th of 2026. Now, when I say a passing strategy, quite simply what I mean is the net profit versus drawdown is greater than 2.0. And then, of course, a failing one has a net profit of less than that. Now, everything in the strategy vault, when we're looking at the performance, it's all out of sample. So that's what I call the validation segment. It's the, when you're building systems in Build Alpha, you have an in and out of sample, which is great. But the validation segment is data that we set aside that Build Alpha never sees. And as we march into the future, month by month, year by year, we even collect more out-of-sample data. So everything you see here is true out-of-sample, or what I call the validation segment, where Build Alpha never saw this when it was building the system. So I think that's really important to highlight that what we're going to see is all out-of-sample data, right? So keep that in mind as we move forward. So the Alpha Compass Strategy Vault has really 47 strategies. 2 of those are in incubation. So we've had a total of 49 strategies submitted. 47 of those are actually in a pass or fail status. 2 of them are in incubation. 30 of them are failing, that's 61%, and 17 are passing, or 39%. So again, most strategies you build aren't going to work. It's really hard to build systems as you know it, but of course with Build Alpha, there's a lot of tools there to help you build systems faster and validate them faster. But that's what that looks like. Well, now let's go to Fellowship. What's Fellowship? There's something called Fellowship Strategy Vault, and what this is very similar to the Strategy Vault we just talked about, but this is dedicated to those who go through my System Development Masterclass. And that's the class where I teach people to build and validate systems the old-fashioned way, right? That's learning to code and validate your systems using easy language code, doing it all by hand. I launched the vault there in the fall of 2022, just like I did with Alpha Compass. And we have 51 strategies submitted there. 0 are in incubation, 24 are failing, and 27 are passing. So we actually have more passing here than the ones in the Alpha Compass Vault. And I attribute that to several things. Let's actually, before we get into that, let's just summarize. So I have these 2 vaults, 47 and 51 are the number of strategies submitted. The ones that are passing, we have 39 passing in the Alpha Compass group, and we have 53 passing in Fellowship. Failing, 61 versus 47. Now, why do we have the differences? Well, Fellowship, they have to code their own strategies. So I think that's going to give you a deeper understanding of the markets and how TradeStation works. This is just me guessing why there's a difference between these. It's easier to build strategies in Build Alpha, right? You don't need as much experience, and you don't need to really fully understand how to build strategies. you have this tool that's helping you and it's going to do a lot of the heavy lifting. So there might be some experience here that it's easier to build systems with Build Alpha without having a lot of experience. But if you're coding by hand, you're probably really into this and you've probably dedicated a lot of time to it and you really understand how TradeStation works and easy language. So maybe that's why there's some difference there. So there's also nearly 10 times as many people in my Alpha Compass course as in Fellowship. And again, that's just because it's easier to build systems. It's easier to build out, download Build Alpha and start building systems. But in my, System Development Masterclass and Fellowship, it takes a lot of dedication, right? So, people not wanting to commit to finish, or Build Alpha is too complicated, or Build Alpha doesn't work is also another thing. So you have these fewer people going into Build Alpha, and then they get in there and they realize it's a fairly complicated piece of software. Well, maybe they don't do it as well. So these are all ideas that I have in my head. But, to me, it kind of makes sense. Fellowship is probably a group of people that are more experienced with building systems and are probably more serious. So is it any surprise that when you look at the metrics that there's more passing in that group? I don't know. So maybe that's what it is, right? All right. So then I thought of this, and this is where this gets really interesting, and I think you're going to be really interested to see the next couple slides. I know I am, right? So this is what I was thinking with our strategy vaults. We have all of this out of sample data. Why don't I use Portfolio Analyst, which is my tool to build out portfolios? Let's take the strategies in the vault, build out a portfolio optimizing for net profit versus drawdown on the years 2022 to 2024. And actually, that's a mistype. It should be 2020 to 20 and 24. Okay, so it should be 2020 through 2024. And then we're going to leave 2025 as out of sample. So you can see what we're going to do. I'm going to do this for both the strategy vault, for Fellowship, and for Alpha Compass. And we're going to build on the years 2020 through 2024, building out an optimal portfolio, and then walk forward that portfolio on 2025. So again, all of this is going to be out of sample data. Build Alpha and Fellowship, when we created these strategies, it was on years prior to 2020, right? And now we are going to use these current years to build a portfolio and test it. So hopefully that makes sense. So the Fellowship Strategy Vault, let's see what this looks like. So when I put it through Portfolio Analyst, it came out with these strategies that we should trade. So we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14 strategies across various markets, all trading one contract. It generated an equity curve that looks like this. Again, remember, we're walk forwarding this onto 2025, and it's generating an equity curve like this. And what is that? Well, it's $169,000 in profit. Okay, $169,000 in profit. You can see we have a drawdown here of about 12%, okay, as a total of total equity. The account size required is about $1 million. And the annual rate of return is 16. And we'll see that through here. This is what the periodic returns look like. Again, this is on $1 million portfolio. So Portfolio Analyst took all the strategies in the Fellowship Vault that were passing and said, if we wanted to build a portfolio for 2025, this is what we would want to trade. And if we walked forward that portfolio, we would have gotten a 16% return and looking like this. All right, let's do the same thing for the Alpha Compass Vault. We're going to do the same thing. These are the strategies it picked. I think this is 13 strategies, all trading one contract. So we're not doing any position sizing. This is what the equity curve looked like. Notice we're starting out with around $300,000 account. So this generated $69,000, really $69,800. But we had an initial capital of $304K. Drawdown was around 9%. Average trade $375. And we had an annual return of about 23%, right? So this got me thinking. right? Let's compare these side by side. I would expect fellowship, strategies built by hand by people that are really into the markets, that really know easy language, that really know TradeStation. And I would expect that portfolio to perform better than strategies created by Build Alpha. Well, now we have the results. After years of building systems, and now we can build out portfolios and test those on out-of-sample data, what do we have? Well, the starting capital is a little bit different. For whatever reason, fellowship, maybe this is because we have people in there who have more dollars, and so they built systems for higher portfolios. But we can see portfolios for Alpha Compass is $300,000 versus $1 million, essentially. Basically, the same number of systems are being traded. The P&L, 169 versus 69,780. Drawdown, 12% versus about 9%. So already Alpha Compass has something going forward, right? Smaller account size is required. The P&L is respectable with a drawdown that's very respectable. 9% versus 12, not a huge difference. Look at the efficiency here. 186 trades versus 992. Average profit per trade, 375 for Alpha Compass versus the average trade there in Fellowship. And we could see the returns. Now, I ran this many different ways. I built different types of portfolios with different starting equities. And I am starting to become convinced now that Alpha Compass is building better strategies. And what do I mean by better? Well, it's more efficient. The average profit per trade, better return, lower drawdown, lower starting capital. Wow, I was really blown away by this. I did not expect this at all. And so, as I did this experiment here in the first couple months of 2026, I had to get this out there. So I'm really starting to lean into the idea that building systems with with Build Alpha, and perhaps all these other tools, there's other ones out there, are really starting to shine. And doing it the old way is just going to be too slow and not nearly as good. So this is the Build Alpha website, and the recent new build of Build Alpha, the recent version is version 3, which is available actually starting a few weeks ago, and I currently got the latest copy as well. But here's what I want to offer you. I know you've been interested in Build Alpha, and what I want to offer you is free access to my Alpha Compass course. So over the next few days, if you purchase Build Alpha, I'm going to give you free access to my Alpha Compass course. My Alpha Compass course looks like this. You can go to the website, on my website, and see this. I'll provide a link as well. It talks about my process for building and validating systems and how to use Build Alpha. And what I'll also do is provide you this link here, which will take you to this page. And here is where you'll see I want to give you 20-day access as a bonus if you purchase Build Alpha. The thing will be is you're going to have to come here and buy Build Alpha through this link. This is going to take you to a special link to get Build Alpha. You can pick it up today for $14.97, and that is a one-time license. If you go through this link, this will tell the creator of Build Alpha, Dave, that, hey, it came from this link, and what he will do is let me know, and I will manually add you to my Alpha Compass course, and then I will send you information on, how to get access to that course. So be sure to order again from this page and clicking these links here that say Get Build Alpha, and that will ensure that you can get your bonus of 20-day access to the Alpha Compass course. Now, I will let you know, of course, that I just got my copy of Build Alpha 3.0. So the course is a little bit out of date. It's the older version of Build Alpha. That's why I'm giving it to you for free for 20 days to try out, because quite frankly, yeah, it's a little out of date, but a lot of the interface for the new Build Alpha is very, very similar. So you'll still get a lot out of it. You'll still go in there and you can see how I configure things, where I set up the configuration files, how I build systems. You'll catch on, right? So that's why I'm giving it to you for free, just so you can kind of get your feet wet, get yourself oriented with Build Alpha, and get going there. If at the end of the 20 days you like to buy a copy, you certainly can buy a copy of my Alpha Compass course. I will be updating the videos over the coming weeks and months. I will be updating the videos to the new version of Build Alpha, and you will get access to those as well. Or you could just simply let it expire and then buy the version in 6 months from now when I have it updated. Either way, but for now, I do want to give you 20 free days of access to the course if you go and buy Build Alpha today. But again, I was really surprised on these results. Super shocked to see that I think we're at the cusp now where tools like Build Alpha are really the defining tool to help us build and validate systems as algorithmic traders. So super excited about this. If you're on the fence, shoot me an email. If you have questions, I'll do my best to answer those. But it looks like now is the time to pick up a copy of Build Alpha if that at all interests you. All right, best of luck. Take care.